just like about 2 minutes here.
Okay, the meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Okay. Streamed. Got it.
Okay. I think we are live now. Good morning, friends. We are here live with Sip with Stacey today. And I just got rid of that echo. There we go. And we have a great person today on Sip with Stacey, and this is Christine Pappas from the wonderful state of Ohio, which I hail from. And so I'm so excited to have her on the show today. Now, Sip with Stacey is a live stream that I came up with to really take a deeper dive into the core values that our members are living day to day and their personal journeys throughout the council. So we are going to touch upon some of the core values with Christine. We are going to talk to her about her leadership journey, and we couldn't be happier to have her on. So welcome, Christine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Stacey, for having me on. It's really a pleasure and honor that you asked me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So thank you for saying yes. And I see Tanya Blair is already on, and she says, good morning. Good morning to you, Tanya. So yes. So let's start off, Christine, and tell us about when you got involved in real estate. What year was it, and what brokerage? Let's talk about that.
I got involved in real estate in 1999. So it's almost 24 years because it was May 1999. And I started off with Caldwell Banker in the city of Willoughby. And our broker was Dennis. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm saying Dennis. Dwayne. And Dwayne, unfortunately, is passed away.
Oh,
he passed away a couple of years ago, but he was my mentor. He actually is the one who probably even got me involved in our community, because he happened to have been the president of our Lake Geogga Association of Realtors at the time that I joined. And he really convinced me and kind of just imprinted into my brain and mind how important it is to belong to your association and to actually be a part of it and participate, not just to belong. So he was just a great he was a great mentor, great broker, great manager, and just a great all around person. So
I love that, because it's so important to have a great mentor and a great teacher, but also to have someone that tells us about advocacy and getting involved in our industry and being that change. One of my mentors described it as it's a ship, and if we don't drive the ship, someone else will. So you need to be involved in your industry and in advocacy. So that is so wonderful that you had someone to do that right off the start for you. It really makes a difference, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he had a lot of patience, because I was, how it is when you go through real estate school and you come out, you're petrified, right? You're petrified to do absolutely anything.
Like this.
I know. So and he would be like pushing me. And he's like, you got to stop being so scared. And I'm like, I am like trembling because I'm afraid to do anything. And he's like, you're going to be fine. And we just had just so many great years. And one of my best memories of him, though, oh God, this is so funny. Do you remember back at the time where everybody was doing those betta fishes in the vases with the plants?
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that phase but it was like a phase around here. So I was doing those for a couple of people in the office, and I happened to have been using kind of like the utility tub at our office. And I've got like all these plants, and I'm getting rid of the dirt, and I clogged up our sink. And Dwayne comes in, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm so sorry. He's like, it's okay. So he had a ton of patience for all of us. And of course I gave him one.
He's probably thinking to himself, she didn't learn that at real estate school, did she?
No.
That's fantastic.
Uh,
Oh my gosh, we have Denise Taylor, and we have Ann Goss, and we have Ivan Smith, your state president, and Lynn Van Meter from Missouri. So thank you, friends, for all joining in and supporting Christine today. So Christine, okay, so you were state president in 2014, and also for your viewers out there that don't know, in 2021, I was national liaison for the Central Region, and Christine was state liaison for Ohio. So we worked together, and we started a little early. National had to start about 3 months early. So we really got to work together for about 15 months, which was great. And Christine, it was just always wonderful as a state liaison. She always responded immediately, and we helped each other back and forth. And so I want to thank you, Christine, for always being a great leader as far as that on that side. But so you actually served, let's talk about this. So Christine served in 2021 with myself as state liaison for Ohio, but then she was so gracious to give of her time again for another year. So 2 terms as state liaison. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Well, my dear friend Denise was last year's president. So I think Denise is on. So she was president in 2022. And as she was getting ready for her year, she called and said, "Would you please do this again for me?" And I was like, "Oh no." But I absolutely could not ever say no to Denise. And it was my pleasure to serve and work hand in hand with Denise. She's just such a beautiful human being that I just was happy to help her in any way that I could. And the reality is working and serving in a leadership role is just, it's just a way to give back to an organization that you love. So even though it is a lot of work, I'm not going to, sugarcoat it and say that it's not a lot of work. It is a lot of work when you're volunteering, and it's taken away from other things, right? Like your family or your business or friends or anything else that it is that you want to do, because you've said yes to that. So you say no to something else. But it is definitely a way to give back. And it was my pleasure to give back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So in giving back, Denise is saying right now, thank you so much for staying as a state liaison. Lynn Van Meter, that's on here too, she did the same thing. She served 2 years in that position. And let's just talk about the knowledge base, because when you do that, even though sometimes we don't want people to do it, but sometimes it is actually a gift, because the knowledge base of what you have to go forward to the next year, you don't have to have that learning curve, right? And you're able to actually just, hit the ground running and help those members. But now you're also probably a huge resource for the state of Ohio, right, Christine?
Well, I try to be, we're not always perfect, but I certainly do try to be. I try to be there when anybody reaches out to me. I always, am there to help out when I can.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, in the state of Ohio, I believe you have 6 networks, which is awesome. And you're at about 400 members for your membership, which is great, because in Arizona, we have 8 networks, but we're at 400. So hopefully Arizona, we start going, because, you guys are surpassing us with these mega networks here. So that is great. I love that. But let's talk about maybe some goals that Ohio has. I know last week with Ivan, we talked about some membership goals. But before we do that, with this leadership series, I always believe in lifting as you climb. Okay. And so that means that we are holding on to the mentor that's pulling us up. And then we are also holding on to the mentees that we are bringing along with us. The job of any leader is to replace yourself constantly, right, Christine? So that's what we have to remember, is that we need to always be replacing ourselves. So I would love to know who mentored you. And we did talk about that a little bit. Was there anyone else besides your broker that mentored you?
Oh my gosh. I have been, I can't even, the list is so long. I've been so unbelievably lucky. And I think in our area, if you are involved in this industry, you are very fortunate to have a lot of people that just reach out to you, and they step up to the plate and they help you wherever it is that you're needed, whether it's Women's Council of Realtors or even just our local association. So I am gonna point out though, Sarah Kalo. Do you know Sarah?
I don't know if I know Sarah.
So Sarah Kalo is she's the one who tapped me to be a part of Women's Council of Realtors. And I've been a member of Women's Council of Realtors for 16 or 17 years, but I was actually kind of like on the outskirts of membership like a year before that. So Sarah would just call and say, hey, this is going on. Come with me here, come with me there. And she just like dragged me all over the place, whether it was Women's Council or even the local association. She is like, if you ever want to talk to somebody about how somebody drags you along, that's definitely the person. So I got very involved with the council because of her. And as you know, when you are working with your local networks, you're really working as a team. And I think even when you're working in your association, you actually really work with as a team. I think it's very different than a lot of other board positions, because often on other board positions, most of the work is done in committee. When you're working on these smaller networks, with the smaller networks, you really work as a committee. So I think you really get to help each other out and learn your different positions. And, if somebody's, needs help here, you jump in and you help there, or, whatever it is that you have to do, you just jump in and you do it. So Sarah Kalo is definitely the person who got me involved in Women's Council and got me involved in our association, because she just dragged me wherever she was going. She dragged me. But once I was there, like I said, you're just surrounded by so many great minds and great people that love this industry, that you just spot mentors and find mentors wherever you look. And then as I was climbing up through leadership, Jan Jadlinski and Nancy Farkas were always my go-to people. They're just so full of knowledge, and they've got the patience for me to ask my gazillion and one questions that I always seem to ask, like, how do you do this? And what about this? So they just have always had the patience to answer my 1,001 questions that I always have. And they're just a great sounding board, and just full of wonderful advice and mentorship. And I just cherish them for that. And coming up through my state years, Jan was ahead of me. So I got to model after Jan. And the way that she brought us through leadership was just really, if you know Jan, you know that she's very special and she's got a special way about her. So that's who brought me up and who I'm always able to rely on.
Oh, that's wonderful. I do know both of those leaders, and especially Jan. Jan and I served in 2019 as one of the 9 RVPs. And then we even took a road trip up to Mackinac Island. And when we had our Region 2 event up there, and she drove me back to Ohio to my family. And so I really cherish my relationship with Jan. She's a wonderful leader. So now let's talk about, those are the leaders that brought you up. Who is someone that you have mentored lately that you could talk about, who you actually lifted as you're climbing on your leadership journey?
So I was able to tap Sarah DeFranco in Boulder, and she's just been a great leader. I got her very involved in our association. And she just finished out her term as president of our Lake Geauga Association of Realtors, and which is just, it was really fun to watch her grow. And then I'm just one of those people that if you call me and say, hey, I need help with this, I'll answer the phone for you, and I'll do my best to try to guide you in the right direction and help you figure out whatever it is. I think Women's Council of Realtors does a great job in providing all of the answers for us. We just really kind of need to know where to look. And so, I just try to guide people back to our governing documents, and help them with that. So, but, if somebody needs help, taking out a trash can or putting together an event or whatever it is, I always just try to be there to help where I can help.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember in 2021 when you and I worked on budgeting for the state of Ohio, we presented budgeting and how to do that and the ins and outs of it. So we can always improve on that, can't we? There's always something to improve. So thank you for always giving of your time and lifting others around you, because that's what leadership is really about. And it sounds like Ohio has such a beautiful web of support to where you're all supporting each other, because there's always something to be learned from the other person right there. And so I love that you're continuing to give back even as you're going through your leadership role. So thank you for being a servant leader for Women's Council. It's so important. Now I'd like to talk about what is the best piece of advice that you've been given in real estate?
Oh, so I think we kind of were talking about this before. It was with my broker, Dwayne, and basically with him telling me, don't be afraid. Because I tend to be cautious in what I'm going to do or stepping out. And so often you just feel, you feel that nervousness, like, are you really capable of doing this? Or do you have the ability to do this? So I think it's just to not be afraid and to take that leap. As far as life in general, I always say that always comes from my Nana. I mean, my best lessons in all of my life always came from my Nana. Did I lose you?
No, I got you. Yeah, no, Nanas always have the best advice. So that's wonderful. Wonderful. I love to hear that. And she was mentoring you, and she probably didn't know it. That was just her nature. And that's what I love about that. It's probably such a pure gift given from the Nana, right?
Oh,
This is one of my very favorite questions. I was interviewed in Las Vegas by Connie Myers, and she asked me this question, and I love to ask it. And so here it goes, Christine. Were you born a leader?
So I don't know if I would say that I was born a leader. I was born a giver. And I think that's really what leaders are, is that they're givers. They're givers of their time. They're givers of their knowledge. And I think that the skills of leadership are something that can be learned and improved on. But I think that leaders are born givers. And I would say that I am a born giver. I mean, I've even had people tell me that I give way too much and I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that, but that's who I am. And I'm okay to stay true to who I am. So I always figure if I give, and it's my giving nature is taken advantage of, that's okay, because I've done what I wanted to do. And I think being a giver is perfectly fine. And I think it's a great thing. People, this world needs givers. So that's what, so I don't know if you're ever born a leader, but I do believe that you're born a giver at heart. And that's what I think leaders are at heart.
Well, thank you for giving, because it shows that you've done that for the state of Ohio. I'm sure you've done that for many of your close friends as well, but that's exactly what we need in this world, more givers. And so I love that analogy. So thank you for sharing that. Now I'd like to talk about your association, any involvement in your association and leadership roles there, Christine?
Sure. Well, I am a past president of Lake Geogga Association of Realtors. I served as past president of Women's Council State in 2014, and then served as our Lake Geogga Association of Realtors president in 2015. So I did back-to-back president terms, and then I had to take a break because I burnt myself out. But this year I am serving on the OR director as an OR director for Lake Geogga Association of Realtors, and I am their bylaws and policies chair. So, it's important to stay involved in your industry and to continue to give back. And then I also serve on the board for extended housing.
Okay.
Our area and extended housing. What we do from extended housing is we help those with severe mental illness find housing and help them with their housing needs. So it's a wonderful, wonderful organization.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful program. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, yes. Now, have you ever jumped up to NAR and served in any of those committees over there at NAR?
No, no.
Not yet? Okay.
Not even on my radar.
Maybe someday in the future, right?
I'm getting older. I think there's room for other people to do it. I'm getting older. I'm probably just now at my age looking at being just a good support role.
Well, thank you. Thank you for whatever you can give of your time, because it matters. And that's what we need, is the support roles. So thank you for that. Now let's talk about major investors. We had talked a little before the program about being a major investor for our PAC and how important advocacy is. I do sit on NAR's board. This is my second year serving in the fundraising trustees committee, and so honored to do that. I sit at my state and my local as well. And so Christine and I both have our major investor pins on. And when did you become a major investor, Christine, and why is that so important in your leadership journey?
I lost track of how long ago I became a major investor. And to be truthful with you, I don't think I really understood the reason why I was supposed to be a major investor. Just, the mentors around you saying, you should do this, you should do that. So I did become a major investor without actually really comprehending why it was important. But of course, once you become more involved in your industry, you really do realize that. And our area, I don't know if we are unique in our area, but we have a lot of point of sale.
Okay.
Elections that are going on. So our Lake Geogga Association of Realtors was very involved with trying to combat a lot of the point of sale inspections. And actually ACAR, Akron Cleveland Area Association of Realtors, has done a tremendous job of combating even some of the point of sale inspections that have happened. So through that is really how I started to learn how important our PAC money is. And then, of course, I had the opportunity to go to the Hill visits. I don't know do you remember when they were doing that Home Ownership Matters bus tour? So there was a group of us that went to the Columbus State House, and we rallied for Home Ownership Matters and went down to National and the monument. I don't know if you remember doing that, but we did all of those rallies and everything. So it was through all of those. And again, my mentors and peers that really brought me along and helped me to understand the importance of our PAC and giving and donating of that money there.
Yes, yes. And I think, I know Jan Jalowski, last time I came to Ohio for a women's inspirational program that you had, Chris Reese, I believe, was the state president then of Ohio. It was in Columbus. And the day before, Jan had had a bus tour where we were going to one of your past governor's homes or something like that. Is that correct?
Yes, I couldn't go. I was very, very ill for 2 years, so I was not able to be around people. So that was, you guys all went when I was still at home, volunteering at home, but I wasn't allowed to be around people then. Yeah. So, but it sounded like a great event. I know, and Jan's always been a big supporter and donor of our PAC. So
yes, yes. So that's great that you've got such unique events that support that. We just had Realtor Day at the Capitol in Arizona. And what we do as Women's Council is usually we all park in the fairgrounds, and then we take buses down to the Capitol. But because Kenny Parcell was coming this year with the big blue bus and the motorcycle for riding the brand, they rented out Chase Stadium, which is our big baseball field. So 500 realtors could come instead of like 350. And so we were all down there at Chase Field, and we got to see the big blue bus and go inside and sit on the motorcycle. And Kenny joined us and spoke. And so that was so inspirational. We wore our belt buckles, but advocacy is just so important. And I'm so proud to be a major investor. And I'm so glad that you are, because I've just learned so much about who gives to our industry and why we need to support it so we can support our clients for buying homes, because everyone deserves a home. So thank you for being involved, Christine. I really, really appreciate that and your involvement there. Now, I just heard our national president, Chris Lee, speak about referrals, and that's the number one reason that members join the Women's Council. So let's talk about referrals in your business from the Women's Council and how that's impacted your business.
I have definitely received many referrals from Women's Council of Realtors over the years. And actually, I have a good chunk of my business as agent to agent referrals anyway, as a part of just my yearly business.
Okay.
But Women's Council of Realtors referrals is definitely real. But like anything, you have to be out there making those connections, because I think that people are they're not going to comfortably just pick up the phone and just call somebody that they don't really know. So making those connections is always helpful. I mean, even across our own state, we have referred business back and forth to each other. So it's definitely a strong point of Women's Council of Realtors.
That's wonderful.
Arizona is very similar to Ohio. We're a big state.
Yes. Because so if someone is moving from Cleveland, down, I don't know, to Cincinnati, you're gonna call Denise, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then you've got Ivan up there in Toledo. So, that's great because that's just too far to drive. And I'm sure those are different associations. Now, what would you say, just for our listeners out there, our members, what is your best technique to keep touching members so that you are top of mind? So they'll think of you when it's referral time. What is your best technique that you've used and massaged in your business?
Probably Facebook.
Facebook.
Facebook allows you to really stay connected with realtors, across the country that we have, as well as Women's Council of Realtors. So face to face, definitely getting in front of people and chatting with people. But, since we don't always have an opportunity to meet face to face, and for our state, we only have 3 meetings, or national, it's 2 meetings. But it's beyond that. In between that, it's Facebook, just staying connected with people.
That's wonderful. And that's true. Facebook is a great resource to be able to get out there and just post about the areas that you service, what you do, more about yourself. So then members can connect with you. And we do actually have a lot of Facebook groups. Does Ohio actually have like an Ohio members group that you can go on there and share properties and listings and buyer and seller wants and needs?
We don't share that.
Okay.
It's a big state, so we don't share buyers' needs and that type of thing, but we have an active membership group.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Well, referrals are so important because I'm a data person. I love numbers because you know what? Numbers never lie, right? So I pulled up some data and I'd like to share it with everyone out there. 60% of all personal wealth in the US is held by women.
Wow.
So we love that, right?
Yeah.
85% of all consumer purchases in the US are made by women. Isn't that interesting? Women over the age of 50 have a combined net worth of over 19 trillion. So I think it's really important that we stay connected with women. We are a source, and we're growing and we're developing and we're leading more and more every year. And that's why I know I'm so passionate about the Women's Council, because I want everyone to know that they can lead too. And where is a safer place than the Women's Council? Because we really wrap our arms around everyone and we tell everyone you can do it. And I think that's the best story of Women's Council. Is there anything, Christine, that you would like to add to that you believe?
Well, I believe that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
I love it.
That more and more women are sitting at the table. And what I love about Women's Council of Realtors is that we have really the training available so that you can sit at any table and feel like you know what you're talking about. You might not know every little detail about Robert's rules or maybe how exactly a meeting needs to flow, but Women's Council of Realtors gives you that confidence that you could use and need to sit at any table and feel like you have that knowledge and information behind you. So Women's Council of Realtors really does do a fabulous job of creating the leaders. We are leaders made here. And I think even if you look at like my own local association, our president is a Women's Council of Realtors member. And we have 1, 2, 3 members that are sitting on the board, and our 2 past presidents are Women's Council of Realtors. So, and of course, you know, when you look at it on the state association and then the national association, there's Women's Council of Realtors members everywhere. But not only in our industry, this is allowing you, the information that we learn from Women's Council of Realtors allows us to take it outside of our industry and apply that into the real world. And that's why I'm even able to feel comfortable sitting on, you know, a board of, I think there's 15 members of us there. And I feel like I have a working knowledge of how to sit on a board and how to conduct yourself when you're sitting on a board. So, and that's all because of Women's Council of Realtors.
Yes, that is the power of the network. It has taught us all so many things. And I am so grateful for the council. It means the world to me. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it with others, because I had leadership in my past life and my business life, but I didn't have good leadership. And that's what Women's Council taught me, is servant leadership and just the knowledge base, like you said, Robert's rules and sitting in a boardroom and how to make a motion and how to vote and how to conduct yourself properly. And so it's just such a gift. I'm just so honored that someone, and they had to actually push me, because I was like, why do I need to join this group? I don't understand. I just want to sell real estate. I didn't want to get involved. And I am so glad they were persistent, because boy, is it life-changing, isn't it?
It's absolutely life-changing. Well, I didn't, you know, with Sarah Kahler, you don't have the ability to say, hold on a second, I just want to sell real estate. You just got to do what she tells you to do. So
I put my heels down, but they kept pushing, and thank goodness they did, because it's just an honor, a privilege to serve the council. And I couldn't imagine my life if this did not happen to me. So it's just been a privilege, and it's just been an honor to have you on here, Christine, and working and serving with you in 2021. And I can tell that you are just a giver and you're a servant leader. And so thank you for being on the show today. Is there any last words that you want to leave our audience with today?
No, I just want to say, don't be afraid, jump in, get involved, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because we're here to help you do that. And we're here to catch you if you stumble. And we're just, we will walk beside you on this journey. And it's been a privilege and an honor. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Raise your hands, friends, because we're here to help you. Thank you, Christine, for being on Sip with Stacey, and I will see you soon, my friend. Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.